Namaskar, hello, and welcome, friends, to the Joy, Clarity, and Success podcast. My name is Shushmit Aditya Mukherjee. I'm an educational content creator. This video is an excerpt from the almost 2 hour long podcast that we had with Mr. Nilesh Oak. This podcast is aimed at revealing to you newer possibilities and deeper understandings of Indian Itihasa, Indian mythology, and Indian epics. Let's get started.
So, thank you, sir. And one more very interesting number that I heard from you, 7,500 years. So, I think this is the source of one of the major conflicts or controversies or questions that you have to face. That how come you say 7,500 years? Where do you get these numbers? So, my question to you is, what is the age of the Mahabharatas? When was Krishna there? When was Rama there? And what is the age of the Vedas, the Rig Vedas, and the other 4 Vedas?
Okay, so if I have to give the answer for all 3 questions in a very broad way, in a very easy way for people to remember, I say it like this, so I will repeat that. I say for an easy way to remember for people, based on a phenomenal, scientific, empirical, logical, multidisciplinary evidence, no ifs, no buts. The Mahabharat happened more than 7,000 years ago. I'll give you the exact year, 7,585 years ago, 5561 BCE. But for simple remembering, people forget these numbers. When I say 5561 BCE, they confuse that with 5,000 years ago. Instead of 5,561 plus 2024, 25, whatever it is. So therefore, it's easy way to remember. Definitely, it happened more than 7,000 years ago. That's Mahabharat. More than 14,000 years ago, so that's a multiplication of 7,000, you can say, is Ramayana. The specific year can be also given because these both are Itihasa text. So Ramayana, like Ram Ravan Yuddha, the year is 12,209 BCE, just like Mahabharat Yuddha is a 5561 BCE. Now, when it comes to Rigveda is not the Rigveda that we have today, like a Shakala Samhita, like 10 mandalas. All that thing is not composed at a one time. In fact, we can tell when was possibly the latest things that were composed that are part of Rigveda, and I would say they are contemporary to Mahabharat times, because Vyasadeva, there is a description in Mahabharat that Vyasadeva recasted, re-edited the Vedas. So we can take that as and there is evidence to that. For example, Saraswati turning from a grand river, Saraswati as a grand river, to Sindhu as a grand river. That transition is been captured actually in the Rigveda itself. Again, that will be a long answer, so I won't go there. But Rigveda, if you go to mandala like a 637 and even sometime 4 and 2, you see the grand Saraswati. But by the time you come to mandala 10 and the Nadi Sukta 10.75, you see that the baton has been passed. The baton for the being a grand river that was been held by Saraswati, as if it has been passed on to river Sindhu. That you can see right in the Nadi Sukta. So therefore,
are you referring to the drying up of Saraswati or something like that?
There is no drying up of Saraswati mentioned there. But what happens is, for example, there are these grand descriptions of Saraswati, like Naditame, Ambitame, Devitame, Saraswati, Giribhya A Samudra, or that grand river, hey, you are the biggest of the biggest river. That is Naditame, Ambitame, Devitame, Saraswati. Those descriptions are there in the Rigveda text. That same Rigveda text now has this 10th mandala, Nadi Sukta, where river Saraswati is also mentioned, and it's not mentioned like it is a dry or anything. It is actually flowing, Image, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, in that sequence, starting from like eastern India all the way to Afghanistan. 19 rivers are mentioned. But in that same sukta, there is a description of now Sindhu as the grand river. And now it doesn't tell why now Sindhu is a grand river. But for that now we have to go to the modern science of geology, geophysics, geochemistry, morphodynamics of rivers, or hydrology. And it tells you the whole history of a river Saraswati going back to 200,000 plus years. And how the changes have happened, how Yamuna separated from Saraswati, how Satluj separated from Saraswati. And now because Satluj separated from Saraswati, and it started meeting Sindhu, and Satluj is one of the grand river, Therefore, now Sindhu became the grandest, and Yamuna also came to Ganga. So that's how we are saying it. But to complete that answer, so Mahabharata more than 7,000 years ago, Ramayana more than 14,000 years ago, and just to keep up with this multiplication of 7,000, I say Rigveda is definitely older than 21,000 years ago. Okay, but that's not to say, because people are so lazy, so naive. Like immediately they will say, oh, Nilesh says Rigveda was composed 21,000 years ago. And I say, what nonsense? I mean, you can't listen, or what is the problem? I am saying Rigveda is definitely older than 21,000 years ago. Now, is it 75,000 years ago, 220,000 years ago, 500,000 years ago? I don't know. The evidence, we can give a title for this, call it Bhishma Nirvana evidence. The references to that Bhishma Nirvana evidence they are spread across the 10 out of 18 parvas of Mahabharata. So it's not like you can remove one and run away with it. You cannot run away from this evidence. It starts with the Udyoga Parva to all Bhishma Parva, Drona Parva, Karna Parva, Shalya Parva, Stri Parva, Sautik Parva, Shanti Parva, Anushasan Parva, Ashrama Vasik Parva, Ashwamedha Parva. You cannot run away from this evidence. What it is that how long Bhishma was on the bed of arrows, when was the time when actually Mahabharat war began, like the time in the way calendar. So it was the month of Margashirsha. And then Bhishma was waiting on the bed of arrows for the day of winter solstice. So what Mahabharata text tells you, 100 plus evidence, it tells you that Bhishma was on the bed of arrows for definitely more than 95 days. Mahabharat war definitely began at the end of Kartik month and beginning of a Margashirsha, like a Kartik Amavasya. The next day is a Margashirsha Shukla Pratipada, and so on. Went through the Margashirsha Purnima and then couple more days, and it was over. But Margashirsha, nobody disagrees on this, by the way. Okay? And that's not the point. If somebody disagrees, the guy is like a clueless, But I'm saying all these 30 plus Mahabharata dating researchers who are alive, while all of us may disagree on the year of Mahabharat war, nobody disagrees that the Mahabharat war took place during month of Margashirsha. And from that, the Bhishma, who fell down on the 10th day of the battle, is on the bed of arrows until the day of winter solstice, and that duration is minimum of 95 days that Mahabharata is saying. If you combine this astronomically, the outcome Aditya that you get is even more profound, more powerful. That Bhishma Nirvana, just like Arundhuti Vashishtha is giving a 5,000, 6,000 year time interval, this particular evidence of Bhishma Nirvana gives a sharp time interval of about 1500 years, from like 6700 BCE to 5100 BCE, that the Mahabharat war can only occur during this time. So on astronomy, there are 200 additional evidence to go, so I will not go there, other than mentioning, if you just take, say, 8 descriptions of Mars that are given in the Mahabharata text, only 8 descriptions of Mars that are there, meaning forget other planets, forget Arundhuti Vashishtha, forget Bhishma Nirvana, and you try to match all those descriptions of Mars for any time between now and say last 20,000 years, 40,000, whatever, how far back you want to go, there is only one year for which you will able to match them, and that year is 5561 BCE. So this is how powerful, how scientific, how empirically testable. There is a reproducibility with this evidence, there is a repeatability with this evidence, there is a calibration, there is a linearity, stability. If you are familiar with the gauge RNR, like a measurement systems, take any aspect, this particular evidence goes with the flying colors. And this evidence that I just told you, the Arundhuti Vashishtha, but also Bhishma Nirvana, decisively falsifies anyone claiming the year of Mahabharat war, not just Jijit Nadumuri Ravi, anyone claiming the year of Mahabharat war any time after 5000 BCE. 5000 BCE. So that is to say, nobody can dare assert a year of Mahabharat war in the last 7000 years. Now you will say, well, Nilesh, there are actually 30 people. Yeah, there are. Anybody can say anything, but if they have to look at in a scientific way, look at the internal evidence of Mahabharata, it will not last. It will be falsified. And I want them to come forward and do that.
Right.
So quickly I will mention Saraswati. Okay. So Ramayana we will skip. Very similar story for Ramayana, by the way. Different evidence. Yeah. But Saraswati is just quickly telling you the river morphology. Like we have like a Padma Shri Wakankar did a deep study, great study of river Saraswati into late 50s, 60s, 70s, somewhere there. And there are many other, like one Mr. Ghosh, he has written an amazing paper, I think in 79 or so, 1980, amazing paper. And much of the research, like the 200 papers that I'm referring to, they are based on these studies, but actually going down, digging the core, and then they're studying the river morphology, hydrology, and that. The summary is this, that Saraswati, in a very deep antiquity, was very likely possibly flowing near Jaipur, Ajmer, and that area. Then, because of geological shift, it shifted further north to around Bikaner. Near Bikaner, it was flowing from 172,000 BC to about 70,000 BC. Okay. Then again another shift, geological shift occurred, that Saraswati got shifted further north to like a Kalibanga, Suratgarh, Hanumangarh area, like a bordering Punjab and Rajasthan in today's terms. And there it was flowing until it became extinct about 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 years ago. So that's the brief history of Saraswati. Sometime between 50,000 and 40,000 years, Yamuna separated from Saraswati and started meeting Ganga, and therefore Saraswati's flow went down, but not substantially, because some small tributaries like Drishadvati and all, they were still continuing to flow and meeting Saraswati. But something drastically happened 15,000 years ago. Again, all I'm telling you, I'm not just giving the papers names to make this bigger, but people can listen to my other talks, listen to my articles, read books. The Satluj, which was coming straight south and meeting Saraswati, near Rupanagar, it turned sharp west and started flowing westward, and this happened 15,000 years ago. And therefore now the significant water of Satluj was also no longer available to Saraswati. So Saraswati was left with a few rivers flowing from the Kurukshetra area. And over time, many other geological changes, climatological changes, it went down, and Saraswati disappeared sometime, say 5,000 BC, and very fast afterwards. That is the story of Saraswati.
Right. Your way of describing the river also uncannily matches with the person whom I consider my guru, Sadguru. In a recent statement of his, he is saying that do not consider river as a river. River is a consequence of multiple tributaries. If the tributaries dry up, then consequently the river will... He was talking about in the context of the current situation of the rivers that India is going through, like Kaveri and Ganga, and they are in a threat of getting dried up. So it uncannily matches with his description also, that as a consequence of the tributaries also not meeting anymore and the paths changing, and Yamuna also separating, Saraswati dried up. So it matches that description also uncannily. Obviously it happens over a period of hundreds or thousands of years. So we are just taking snapshots here.
Want to see the full podcast? The link is given in the description and on the screen. Hope you enjoyed this video. If this video added value to you, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Share this video with a friend who may find this helpful. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.